And there are a lot of Browns fans who are here today, and he was signing some autographs. His dad, of course, was here. There he is, cowboy hat and all.
The atmosphere inside the Cleveland Browns locker room has reached breaking point, and this time the spark came from Deion Sanders himself, who has clearly run out of patience as he watches events unfold around his son. What has reportedly unfolded between Sanders and head coach Kevin Stefanski has pulled the situation beyond ordinary football drama and into something far more personal, touching on respect, trust, and a father's frustration at seeing potential mishandled. In Cleveland right now, things feel chaotic. Shedeur Sanders, a fifth-round rookie whose surname led many to assume he was either overhyped or overlooked, stepped into one of the league's most troubled quarterback environments and immediately did something the franchise has waited decades to see, winning his first NFL start. It was not just the result that caught attention, but the manner of it, with throws so sharp and confident that even Myles Garrett, a defensive cornerstone rarely concerned with offensive headlines, was visibly stunned, later admitting his admiration publicly. That reaction alone underlined how rare the moment felt. After barely a week working with the first-team offense, Sanders delivered passes that Browns supporters have scarcely witnessed from their quarterbacks in a generation, igniting excitement, tension and scrutiny all at once, and turning an already volatile situation into one the entire league is now watching closely.
First time I've ever watched him play without me on the sideline. I've never seen him play without me coaching him, so that was strange, but it was good and it was healthy.
By doing so, Shedeur Sanders also became the first rookie quarterback to win his opening start for the Browns since 1995, snapping an ugly 17-game skid for first-time starters in Cleveland, a moment that should have been celebrated as a genuine turning point. Yet when the spotlight shifted to Kevin Stefanski, the response felt strangely hollow. Rather than clearly backing Sanders as the direction of the franchise, or openly crediting him for injecting belief into a team that has lived without it for years, Stefanski chose caution. He avoided committing to anything concrete, sidestepped the obvious question, and leaned into familiar coach speak about staying present and not looking too far ahead. For many watching, it felt like a missed opportunity, not just to praise a young quarterback who delivered history, but to acknowledge the hope he brought at a time when Cleveland desperately needed it.
Listen, we trust all of our guys. We trust our guys to perform. He's no different. And playing a backup quarterback role, as we've talked about over the years, that's tough to come in there. But we trust him. I know there's things that he's going to want to do better, but that's why we work.
Now contrast that with how Dillon Gabriel was handled while losses piled up. During his run as starter, Cleveland stumbled to a 1-4 record and Gabriel struggled badly, yet when reporters questioned his status, Kevin Stefanski did not hesitate, did not delay, and did not ask for reflection time. He immediately confirmed Gabriel as the starter, offering full backing without conditions. That difference is impossible to ignore and explains why Deion Sanders is reportedly furious. To many, it feels like a double standard, with Shedeur Sanders being treated as a temporary solution who must constantly re-earn trust, while Gabriel was granted patience despite repeated failures. The frustration only deepens when you consider the circumstances Shedeur walked into, an unstable situation that overwhelms most rookies, playing behind an offensive line that struggles to keep him upright and offers little margin for error, yet he is still judged more harshly. That imbalance, more than any single play or press conference, is what has turned this into a much bigger issue than football alone.
Have you been keeping up with Shedeur in Cleveland? What's the best piece of advice you've given him as a dad and as a coach?
Be patient and be ready. You got to be ready when it's time. But when it's time, you're going to know. And it's coming up.
There we go.
You know, I got a prediction. I ain't telling nobody. I got a feeling when it's going to go down. But it's going to go down this year.
It's going to happen. All right.
Yeah, he going to get a shot.
And that's all you can ask for as a player. All you can ask for is the opportunity, right?
Tell me this, because this was all over the media, because I know y'all keep it a buck. That's why I love y'all to life.
Yes.
They made a big deal out of Philly called us on draft day.
Okay.
They didn't mention that. I just let a cat out of the bag.
I didn't know that. Yeah, okay.
Who was it? Baltimore. And the Browns.
This, yeah.
And the Browns. They forget, I know, I played for Baltimore, so me and Ozzie are cool. So we understood that whole conversation, and he wanted to talk to Shedeur as well as he wanted to talk to me. And I put Shedeur on the phone, and Shedeur, I don't want to say how it went, but how in the world can somebody fault him for saying or thinking, why in the world would I go back up Lamar for 10 more years?
For sure.
I've never sat on the bench and said, well, I learned a lot today.
He plays for a 3-8 team whose supporters have been disappointed so often that hope barely exists anymore, and after spending weeks running the scout team he was suddenly given just 1 week of preparation with the starters, yet despite every possible disadvantage he stepped onto the field and looked like he belonged. The stat line only tells part of the story: 11 completions on 20 attempts for 209 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 interception, respectable but not spectacular. However, the context completely changes the meaning. On film, it was clear something different happened in Las Vegas. The defining moment came on a 52-yard strike to Isaiah Bond, thrown while rolling right under pressure and dropped perfectly into tight coverage, a pass Kevin Stefanski himself admitted was extremely difficult, the kind most quarterbacks in the league simply cannot make, let alone a rookie making his first start with minimal preparation. Then came the 66-yard touchdown to D'Onta Foreman, dismissed by critics as nothing more than yards after the catch, yet if creating explosive plays were that simple, Cleveland's offense would have done it weeks earlier. Sanders delivered the ball on time, in stride, and exactly where it needed to be, allowing his playmaker to accelerate, something the offense had failed to achieve under Dillon Gabriel. It could have been even more impressive had Jerry Jeudy secured a perfectly thrown pass on the move, which would have pushed Sanders beyond 250 yards and possibly another scoring drive, but even without that, he earned the respect of Myles Garrett, the confidence of his teammates and the right to start again. Still, Stefanski refused to offer full commitment, naming Sanders the starter against San Francisco only after framing it as a week-to-week evaluation, a level of caution never applied to Gabriel despite repeated losses and offensive stagnation. That contrast is what has infuriated Deion Sanders, not as an overprotective father but as someone who nents rather than learning your own system, building no chemistry with starters and receiving none of the reps essential for growth, an approach suitable for veteran backups, not a rookie with franchise-level traits. Sanders showed arm strength, composure, creativity, and the ability to push the ball downfield, separating game management from genuine upside, something reflected in Garrett's reaction when he admitted there are very few players in the league capable of making throws like that. The frustration surrounding Cleveland comes from a familiar pattern: hesitation, short-term thinking and a lack of long-term investment at quarterback, a cycle that has produced decades of instability. With the season effectively over, the Browns have little to lose by fully committing to Sanders and seeing what he can become, yet instead they continue to hedge, creating uncertainty that undermines leadership. Deion Sanders is not demanding favoritism, only fairness, because performances like that debut deserve belief, not doubt, and if Cleveland fails to break this cycle, they risk wasting another quarterback who has already shown he can rise above chaos.